Hi, and welcome back to this show, this amazing series of Traits of Life on Stress and Purpose in Life. We are live on YouTube and hopefully TikTok. And for you viewers, you're welcome back here and watching this again. And if you are new to this channel, please come on and subscribe because this is an amazing show with the amazing Dr. Rawson. Welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Good to be back.
Thank you. And we are diving into a really important subject today. It has to do with responsibility as a trait and also in combination with resilience. And we have spoken about resilience in the last episodes as well as being one of the traits that we need to have in combination with the other traits that you have in your tiny tail lens concept. So I'm really excited for this episode with you today.
Thank you so much. Yeah, this is really an important topic. Resilience is kind of your core thing that you work with people and your clients. And resilience it's one of the core traits, one of the 5 core. And it is so because if we can teach our kids and we can teach adults how to be resilient, we have less stress, we have less mental health issues, and we have a much more enjoyable life if we understand that. So today, you've asked to talk about responsibility associated with all of that, which is yet another trait. So I'm excited.
Me too. And many statistics and facts say that these two combines are really good for our health and, as you say, well-being, and also for our productivity, both at home and at work. So it's really good to talk about it and really important. So yeah, so we can dive straight into it if we go back to what resilience is in combination with responsibility. What do you think
Okay.
that is? Well, how do you think that is essential for us as human beings to have those combined?
Well, in order to understand resilience, you have to understand that it's not just a question of turning the other cheek or just, oh, you'll get over it and it'll pass. Don't worry, just move on. That's not really resilience. That's calling me, from my perspective, it's belligerent. But anyway, that's another story. But resilience is more about how you bounce back. And what most people don't realize is that no matter where you are, there's 3 tiers to emotions, and in each one of those tiers, there's 7 levels. Down at the very bottom of the emotion scale are things like thoughts of suicide, things like, I'm going to hurt somebody. There's all kinds of things. And the problem is that when people aren't resilient, they tend to go to their worst fear. For example, a woman was telling me the other day that her worst fear is that people are going to leave. So her worst fear is something happens, and because she failed at something or something didn't work out the way she expected, somebody's going to abandon her or leave her because she didn't cut it. She didn't accomplish what she'd hoped to accomplish.
Yeah.
So, what we've learned over time is that you can bounce back from about anything if you know how to. And taking responsibility for what you've done is the very first step. You need to understand that if something goes bad, accept responsibility and realize that it doesn't just happen to you, it happens to Stina, it happens to me, my wife, my children, everybody you know on the planet.
Yeah.
Everybody winds up hitting some wall at some point in time where they need to rise back up. They need to bounce back. And accepting responsibility for that, the fact that, yeah, I screwed up, boy, I don't want to make that mistake again. And then start to move on, bounce back from there, and you can do it. But accepting responsibility is huge. And unfortunately, we've got a group of people today in a certain age group that doesn't accept responsibility for
Yeah.
what mistakes are, what they do. Um, they certainly don't accept responsibility for what others do, even if they're responsible for those others, and that's a huge problem. So when you accept responsibility, there's a number of things that happen. Let's talk about them associated with the different levels. Okay, let's start with work. When you accept responsibility at work, you build trust with your coworkers, and they know that if they say, "Okay, Stina, will you accomplish this and get this back to us by Thursday?" They know that if you have that task and you've agreed to that task, you're going to have it done by Thursday because you're that person.
Yeah.
I'm that person. Somebody asked me to have it back by Thursday, I'll probably have it back to them by Wednesday midday because
Yeah, I'm the same.
once I get a task, as soon as I can get it off my back, I'm ready to go. I can go
I
on to
think
the.
many people feels that way. They are.
I do too. I do too.
Yeah.
My wife is exactly the same way. You say, okay, well, we need to do so and so, so and so. She drops everything, does it right now.
Yeah.
Anything that she was thinking of doing, now she's going to take care of that priority right now. And that's a certain level of responsibility. But when you do that, you build trust. So in a corporate environment, if you accept responsibility for not only the people that work for you because maybe you didn't train them right, or the employees themselves because, again, they weren't trained enough to accept responsibility.
Yeah.
Once you start doing that responsibility and start building that trust, as a CEO of 30 plus companies, I can tell you, it will improve your bottom line.
Yeah, of course.
Try it. I'm telling you, it will improve your bottom line. Now, let's talk about families. Oh my gosh, I had 6 kids.
Amazing.
Responsibility was not in their lexicon. No, Dad, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. One child, I remember in an early exercise, I think every parent's come to this where you say, okay, listen, here's what you need to do before you can go out and play. You need to clean your room, dump your trash, take your clothes out, get that basic stuff done. When that's done, you can go play. Now, every other child I had said, oh, why do I have to do that? And they complain and they don't want to take responsibility for it and they don't want all this work they have to do. One child comes to me and says, now, let me get this straight. By the way, she was the oldest girl and we had a boy, girl, boy, girl, boy, girl. So she was the first girl.
Okay.
She says, Dad, let me get this real straight because I want to make sure it's right. If I clean my room, make my bed, dump my trash, and put my clothes in the laundry room, and you inspect it and say it's okay, then the rest of the day I can play until the dinner bell this evening. That's absolutely correct.
Yeah.
Well, after that, when she got out of bed, she literally pulled the covers like this and she got out of bed. I mean, she had this thing down to a science. It took her about 25 minutes and she was gone. And you never saw her again until dinner time. So I'd say to the other kids, look at her. She's out there playing already. You could be playing. And their response was, I don't want to do this
I have
work.
my daughter here